Okay, before we get going on the agenda, I understand there was a death of a very long time employee with the WPCA. So first of all, I would ask Mr. Marcin to say a few words about the individual, and we'll have a moment of silence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, as you mentioned, we had an unfortunate tragedy in the month of November. One of the longest employees to ever work for the city of Norwalk, a gentleman named John Carruthers, had a heart attack while working in November. He was, his co-workers, Norwalk Police Department and Norwalk Fire Department, worked very hard where there was immediate resources to try to help him, but it was a thing that had been there already and something that that wasn't a surprise to his family. So anyway, we are, Mr. Carruthers was a graduate of Norwalk High School and came to the Norwalk wastewater facility in the early 70s and worked with us and for the city and the other contractors almost 50 years over his career as a mechanic at the Norwalk facility. And as we all know, in this day and age, for someone to even, work 10 or 20 years at a single place is unusual. And for an individual to dedicate 50 years of his life to the facility was pretty awesome. And not only that, but John was the glue of the facility here. We've all worked in group settings, and there always seems to be that one person that everybody gets along with and everybody respects. And John was that guy. He got interacted with every single clique and group, and he's going to be sorely missed. So we had a nice service for his family. Anthony and Chris Torre joined us for that. Anthony made a very nice speech and gesture on behalf of the city, and the family was very appreciative of that too. So thank you for the time to share that, Mr. Chairman.
And I understand that he started with the city of Norwalk and then went through a number of our vendors and finally ended up with Suez.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
We'll start a moment of silence. Okay, that seemed like a long time. That was 1 second for every year the man worked for us. That's 50 seconds. So thank you for letting us know.
Yes, and thank you again for acknowledgement.
WPCA to his family, our condolences. Okay, the second item on the agenda is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
By Mr. Igneri. All in favor?
Aye.
Show of hands. Mr. Keegan? Mr. Osterbein, yes. Mr. Clark, yes. Mr. Bovee, yes. Mr. Igneri?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Smith, yes. And Mr. Camacho? Yes.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. So it is 5:35. And we're going to go into executive session. That means we have to leave this call, right, Ralph?
Correct. There's
And
a separate link for executive session.
does everybody, before we start ditching out on this link, does everybody have the Zuma Caballero link?
One
Yes.
from December 17 at 12:21.
Yes, that's the one I have. Good.
That the one?
Everybody's good. See you there.
I'll find it. See you guys. Okay.
You can stop recording.
You're muted.
Thank you. I was doing good too. It's 6:32 PM. We've just come out of executive session. No action was taken. We resume the normal December 20th, 2021 WPCA meeting. Item number 3, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the WPCA held on November 15th? Mr. Igneri said it. You're on mute, Mr. Igneri, but we'll take Mr. Igneri. Are there any comments, questions, corrections? Anybody, anything?
None.
None. We'll call the question. All in favor? Say aye, hold your hand up, please. I'm looking across the board. Ostafine, Keegan, Mr. Camacho.
Abstain. I wasn't here.
You don't have to abstain, but if you want to, you can. Okay,
Oh, I don't have to abstain. Well, then I'll vote to approve.
okay. Ostafine, Keegan, Camacho, Igneri, Smith.
Abstain.
Okay, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Bovee is a yes. Clark? You're muted, Mr. Clark.
He's raised
Show of
his
hand.
hand.
Did he raise his hand?
Gentlemen,
Okay,
gentlemen,
okay. Okay, so Ms. Smith abstains, everybody else, it passes. Thank you. Item number 4. Act on sewer use charge adjustment for 587 Connecticut Avenue. Is there a motion on the floor?
so moved.
By Mr. Igneri, what is your motion?
My motion is to table this until the next meeting in January.
Are there any opposing motions?
Yes, I have a motion, Mr. Chair. I move that we provide council authority to go back and attempt to renegotiate, at least, try to get some movement on the current offer and see where we are at that point.
Okay, any other opposing motions?
No, it's not opposing. My motion to table was during that
Yes.
month they go back.
I think that we can come up with a motion that Igneri and Camacho is the same thing. I'm just
Okay.
wondering if there's any other, I don't see Mr. Flynn, no other motions. Okay, so Mr. Camacho, could you include tabling the motion to give staff time?
Yes, so I'll join with John, his motion to table it until next time, and in the interim to give staff time to come back with more information about proposed settlements.
Okay, on the superseding motion, all in favor? Ostafine, yes. Keegan, yes. Camacho, yes.
Yeah.
Igneri, yes.
Clark,
Bovee, yes. Clark, yes. Smith, yes. That's unanimous. Thank you. So this item is tabled, and staff and council have authority to move forward with further negotiations. Item number 5, authorize the chief of operations of the DPW to issue orders on a contract with AVD for the Belton Avenue sewer improvement not to exceed $50,000. Is there a motion?
so moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Igneri got it. Is there any comments from staff on this item?
Yes.
We lost your
So,
video, Ralph, but we can hear you. Okay, you're back.
Video has been out and done for a couple months. Work
You-
is taking longer than expected. We've hit many utilities, talking with our consultants, even the contractors. It's just a nightmare for utilities.
Ralph, you're having trouble with the audio?
Ralph, I can't hear you.
Okay, is it better?
It's coming in broken up.
Let's see. How about now? Can you hear me?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay, so AVD has hit electric lines, natural gas lines, running into water lines, not actually hit, but are finding conflicts with the gravity sewer that we're trying to install from Brunel into Belden. We have a path now, but there is some overlap work or work that they have to redo in order to get pitch. The other thing is on Belden Avenue, we got to dig down. It's an old brick manhole. It's about 24-inch diameter. We do have to, because we are going deeper, we do have to rip that out and install a new precast sanitary manhole. So these are change orders that we did not anticipate. Because of that, even though we had some minor issue orders previously, I'm adding to that because we're trying to get all the work done by Christmas, and if not, the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay, anybody? Ralph cut out, I think he's done. Are there any
Yes.
questions of Ralph? Any questions at all? Any questions of staff? Okay, it's for $50,000 for change orders to get the job done. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Camacho, yes. Ostafine, yes. Igneri, yes. Smith, yes. Bovee, yes. Clark, yes. Keegan, yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6. Authorize the chair, vice chair, WPCA, execute agreement with Kovacs in the amount of $1,091,320 for aeration tank electrical infrastructure improvements. Is there a motion to authorize?
So moved.
Mr. Keegan. Discussion from staff. Presentation.
Yes. So in the board package is a letter from Arcadis, item 6, and also the backup from purchasing department on the 4 bids that we received for this project. Kovacs Construction was the low bidder at just under 1.1 million. And Baton, CH Nickerson, and Del Rey were much higher. I had Arcadis go back, they called references. Kovacs Construction is actually currently working for WPCA on the $4 million pump station project. They do good work. Because of that project, they were able to leverage being already mobilized in 2022 to get us a better price. I did ask Arcadis to make sure that they didn't miss something in the proposal. They did not. They feel confident in the 1.1 million number that they provided. And our recommendation to the board is to enter into a contract with them for improvements at the wastewater treatment plant on the electrical infrastructure. Basically, it's putting support structures in on the 5 aeration tanks to be able to relocate the electrical, both high level and low level electrical lines above the walking pathways. Item 7 is to issue orders in the amount of 100,000. So those items 6 and 7 are the same project.
Mr. Keegan, would you like to amend your motion to include item 7? Which is authorize the Chief of Operation Public Works to issue orders on a contract with Kovacs for
I
100,000.
agree. I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, in the interest of saving time. Are there any further questions of staff? You have a low bid, you have a good contractor. I'm sure there's bonds. If he left some money on the table and he tries to duck out, the bonds are there, correct, Ralph?
That's correct.
Any questions? No further questions? We'll call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Camacho, Ostafine, Igneri, Smith, Bovee, Clark, Keegan. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 9, authorize the expenditure of $75,000 to FGB Construction as part of the City of Norwalk's preliminary agreement for Rowayton Avenue over Keeler Brook Bridge Project being administered by the DPW for the purpose of relocating sanitary sewer. The mayor has authorized execute an agreement with FGB Construction on December 7th by Public Works Committee of the Common Council on December 14th, 2021 by Common Council respectively. Is there a motion to authorize the expenditure of $75,000? Mr. Bovee has it first. Any presentation by staff?
Minimal presentation. What this is obviously the Rowayton Bridge failed. We have an existing sanitary sewer line that runs underneath that failed bridge. And in order to install the new bridge or culvert, engineering and their contractor FGB must relocate the sanitary sewer north of that structure. And that 75,000 PO that would go to FGB and be administered by DPW would cover those expenses. We had Brown and Caldwell provide details on the design to engineering, and that information was provided to FGB.
Okay, so FGB is already there doing the bridge, or was this bid out for FGB? Bid out and FGB won the bid just for the sewer.
I believe it was a sole source. I can't confirm that, but this was approved by the Common Council, Public Works Committee and Common Council for FGB to do the bridge and the sanitary sewer work. It's
Yeah,
just that,
Ralph, I can confirm that it was sole source.
great, thank you. This is monies to cover the sanitary sewer portion of that project.
Okay, and FGB is working on the bridge already? Is that why we sole sourced FGB?
No, Mr. Chairman, this is Anthony. FGB was recently awarded the contract under sole source, as Councilwoman Smith had indicated, but the contract having just been recommended for approval by the Public Works Committee at their December 7th meeting, and then by the full Common Council at December 14th meeting, the contract is in the process of being executed, or I should say prepared by the law department. So FGB has not done any work yet. We actually, since we recently got approval, we also received approval for sole source to purchase the box culvert, which is an 11-foot wide by 7-foot high precast concrete box, about 40-something feet long. The city is going to directly procure the box culvert from the concrete manufacturer because it saves about 45 to 60 days off the project and also 20% on the capital cost. So there's two paths going on right now. We're going to place the order for the precast box culvert very shortly. And then we're also working to procure FGB to start construction, which likely wouldn't start until after the new year with an anticipated completion of April of 2022.
So who's doing the bridge?
FGB. They're
Okay.
doing. They're
FGB is
doing
doing the bridge and they're gonna do the sewer. They're already there.
Correct.
That's why they were sole source. Thank you.
Right, and they're the general contractor. They're handling everything.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That was my question. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay, no question. All in favor of authorizing $75,000 for FGP? Camacho, Ostafine, Igneri, Smith, Bovee, Clark, Keegan. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we missed item 8. We skipped that for the website.
Thank you. I circled 7 and 8 together instead of 6 and 7. My
Yes.
apologies. Let's go back to number 8. Authorize expenditures of $14,850 for website design and build the WPCA. Build for the WPCA by Schneider Group Incorporated. Is there a motion to authorize this expenditure?
So moved.
Mr. Igneri. Comments, presentation by staff.
Yes, so our existing WPCA website, I think went online about 2007. It's time for a refresh to bring it up to help customers to show, with Suez, with our partnership with Suez and other entities in the city, what the WPCA is about. We engaged the mayor's office and IT to ask for vendors that could provide this. We were provided with a couple vendors, actually 3 we reached out to. We received proposals from 2. Snyder Group was the low bid or low proposal. Civic was another proposer that submitted. And then we had a third company that did not provide a proposal. Like I said, we're looking to, from start to finish, update, work it with partnership, update all the WPCA web pages, make it more user-friendly, bring it into, today's world, being able to provide information to the public, to our customers.
Comments or questions of staff? Is this going to be part of the city's website? I mean, is it related in any way? And if it is, why aren't we using the city's website designer?
To answer two questions. One, I believe the city at some point is going to go out and look at other vendors. And two, we are going to have, the mayor's office will be involved with the look and the flow, because that is something, the direction that we got was to have a similar flow to the city's website intent.
Okay, no questions? There's a motion to authorize an expenditure of $14,850. All in favor? Camacho, Ostafani, Igneri, Smith, Bovee, Clark, Keegan. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 10. Authorize $986,875 to Kelowna Concrete and Asphalt Paving LLC as part of the City of Norwalk's preliminary agreement, Dreamy Hollow, Bethbrook area drainage sewer water main improvement project being administered by the DPW. The mayor has authorized to execute agreement with Colonia Concrete and Asphalt by Public Works Committee, Common Council on December 4th. Is there a motion to authorize expenditure?
So moved.
Ms. Smith gets that. And is there any comments by staff?
So this is a DPW project in the Dreamy Hollow area. It's a major storm drainage project. And currently the sanitary sewer and the water lines are in the path of where the proposed storm drain system is going to be installed. So these costs cover the relocation and sizing of the sanitary sewer in the area that the new drainage will be installed.
Pipes are getting bigger.
We have Woodard and Kern is the consultant, and that's what they have been looking at, is making sure that there is sufficient capacity and pitch for the relocation of the sanitary sewer.
Any questions or comments of staff related to this expenditure? It sounds like we're resizing and relocating our sewer to get out of the drainage way.
That's correct. Well, it was triggered by the storm drain project.
And while we're there, we're going to see if there's any improvements that can be made.
Correct.
Everybody understand?
This has
Yeah,
been
the
going on for
900
years.
Okay, Mr.
So the-
Camacho?
The 986,000 is to see if there's a way to make improvements, or is that to make the improvements if they're
Gotta
found?
be construction.
Good question, Ed. I apologize. There's actually an attachment in the back, and this came from DPW engineering. What they did is there was a sewer line item, and that's the amount that for that the sanitary sewer work that the contractor bid. Might be hard to see because of the blue shading, but the upper portion is that 986,000, and then there's a contingency component, which is actually action item 11, and then for professional services for construction admin by Woodard and Kern is actually item 12 on the WPCA agenda, but this serves as the backup. So, what part DPW is responsible for and what part they're asking WPCA for funding to cover these costs related to sanitary sewer.
Might I amend the motion to consider the item and just add the other 3 agenda items as part of this discussion, since they seem to be interdependent? Is that, I mean, are they, or is it, can they be dealt, can one be a yes and the other be, and the others be no, for instance?
All 3 items are for this big drainage project and sanitary sewer relocation. It's all one big project.
Okay,
Items 10 and 11 are the contractor, and items 12 is for services by Woodard and Kern for construction admin services during the construction.
Okay, so there's another motion on the floor to take all three at once. Is there any more comments or questions on this item, including 11 and 12?
So moved.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Camacho, Ostafani, Igneri, Smith, Bovee, Clark, Keegan, Depp, all three pass unanimously.
Mr. Chairman,
That
just,
was a superseding motion.
yeah, a point of clarification. Mr. Camacho's motion was to combine all three into one motion and then to approve all three.
Yes,
Well, to approve or not approve, but just to consider them all at the same time, since they seem to be interdependent.
Understood.
yes. And what we just voted on, my understanding was the superseding motion, which was Camacho, all three combined.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody
That's
good with
fine.
that? Everybody's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, we're done with the business. Item number 13, contract operation reports at 6:54 PM.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Marcine,
I'll keep it brief tonight. I know we had a long meeting. It was pretty quiet month of November. Our collections team was able to complete about 1.7 miles of TV inspection, along with cleaning of about 1.35 miles of sewer. As part of our services, we have various technical experts that come in, and we had our collection system technical expert Clure Winfrey join us during the month of November. And Clure spent about 3 days with our team. He did several field observations, and he also finalized the installation of a pilot test of 3 new smart manhole cover technologies at 3 locations in the city. And these are a different vendor basically than the smart covers that we already have 7 of, but we wanted to try to encourage some competition. So we've tried this vendor for 3 installations. And I'd say the trials went okay, but a lot of it has to do with the transmission and the cell or satellite service that they use. And we believe the smart covers were far superior. Another interesting topic that we talked about and we met with Ralph was the utilization of drone technology for the inspection of some of our larger sewers. We actually mapped out a plan that Clure is going to pursue to see if we can do a pilot of drone technology in one of our large sewers. That's kind of interesting. The IPP inspection program continued. We did 37 locations in the month. Continued to receive septage from Stamford while their construction is ongoing. And our facility remains at severity level 2 for our COVID precautions, although we've recently been escalated to severity level 3, which puts limitations on visitors that we can receive at the facility and some inter-project travel restrictions for our employees. We were in compliance with all permits for the month of November, and our monthly nitrogen performance remained good. We had a monthly average of 608 pounds. That slightly increased our calendar year average to 518 pounds. Some other things that we prepared during the month. As you discussed earlier, we're preparing for our merger with Veolia, which is going to take place on January 18th. So we're actually very excited about that. That'll be the official merger date, and then there'll be a series of meetings and possible site visits too. And I do anticipate that we'll have some visitors as part of the merger at the Norwalk facility. We'll be sure to let everybody know about that when we find out what the dates are and who's going to come. Happy to report that we did a functional startup of the odor control system last Thursday. The system started up and operated as anticipated. Did have a list of punch list items, so the contractor is on site this week to complete all those items. And then we're preparing for a full and permanent startup either next week or the week after. And lastly, the preparations are continue to be finalized for the Orchard Street lining. We're actually in the process of completing a small excavation that's necessary for the bypass pumping on Quincy Street. And once that's completed, we will finish the permitting process, and we anticipate execution of that job late January, early February, which will also work in our favor with regard to flows, for the flows will tend to be a little lower at that time of year. And that's all I have for this evening. If anyone has any questions, always happy to answer them.
Thanks. Any questions from Mr. Marcin? Ms. Clark? Mr. Clark, you muted yourself. There you go. Something is way wrong there, Mr. Clark. It's going on and off. Huh? Try one more time. It's off all the time now.
We messed you up.
There you go. Now you got it.
Okay. I noticed nitrogen levels are high for the year. Is there a reason for that? Seasonal or something like that? That 682 number is the highest we've had all year. Any reason?
Yeah, the flow, was it, yeah, the 608 for November, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, I mean, the flows had continued to be up from the storm events that we've been experiencing, but nothing that was out of the ordinary, just an upward trend. So one of the, I guess to get a little bit technical, Lou, one of the things that we are working on is to operate the plant with lower secondary sludge blankets as well. With the storm events that we had this summer, we fared very well with having those blankets be at a lower level. And I think as the lower blankets in the season starts to transition, maybe we're starting to see a little bit of the impact on the nitrogen as well.
No, okay.
Yeah, still well below permit limits and well below, you know, the.
Oh yeah, you're well below limits, but I just wondered if it was a seasonal thing or. Okay, sludge blankets. I can believe that.
Yeah, I would say you're right on with the assumption that it is seasonal, and the variation is that we're running a little bit lower sludge inventory to try to keep those blankets low, so that when we have the storm, we don't have any wash of the solids into the river.
Okay, we're with you.
Great.
Clark, anybody else from Mr. Marcin? Any other questions? Okay, 701, item number 14, reports, Ralph.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 14A is including the board package. It's just a copy from our munis showing the revenues and expenditures to date. I'm going to continue to move along unless anybody has any questions. Item 14B is the draft fiscal year 22-23 capital budget request that staff put in to the city. What we're asking for is $3 million in capital funding for collection system. Currently, we have a big pump station, $4 million pump station project we're working on. We're also negotiating with Eversource to do a replacement or upgrade of the Killer Brook pump station. So pump stations, you know, we have projects in the queue and future projects. So we're not really asking for any monies now. For the treatment plant, because of the pending consent order and working with the state on the facility plan update, looking at wet weather or other improvements, that's why for future years right now, we just put a placeholder of $5 million a year for a total of $15 million, what you see on the form. So really, it's just a placeholder, knowing when we communicate with the P&Z and various departments that it's a placeholder, and as we continue over the next year or two, those numbers will be refined. The collection system rehab work that we're anticipating is right now, Brown and Caldwell is in the design for the Bell Island and Salmon Street sewer sheds. It's older asbestos cement pipe, and it's a tidal, that area is impacted by the tide. And what happens is salt water can impact over time asbestos cement, where it basically breaks down the concrete and you're left with asbestos fibers. So that's an area that we're looking at doing a project with lining. It also, because of the tide, we do get some infiltration. So lining would help prolong the life of additional 50 years for the sanitary in those areas, and reduce infiltration to the treatment plant into the collection system. Any questions on the capital budget request? Okay. Discussion of WPCA projects. Last Friday, Brian Caldwell came to the site, and we had a good 3-hour meeting on the hydraulic model that's being currently calibrated based on the flow data that was that we did early last year, along with sitting down with the Suez team, and areas where the model seemed a little off as part of the calibration. This typical, actual conditions versus model predictions was a little, there was a discrepancy. So what they did is they asked staff, okay, what do you know about this location? And you know what, it could have been some debris or some other event that caused the discrepancy. So we're fine tuning the model. So that way it can predict storms in the future. So they could say, put a 2, 5-year, 10-year storm in the model, and we can see what our pipes are doing based on that rain, both inflow and infiltration. So that's a work in progress. We'll continue to working on that in 2022, and eventually all that will go into the collection system master plan, and as we present or identify priorities and costs associated with those priority projects. Item 2 here is sanitary sewer system rehab. This is the Green Mountain Pipeline Services. The project's coming to an end. There's a couple small areas within Norwalk that we're still looking to CIPP line, which is cured in place pipelining. They just had a change in their manager for the project. So we're working on right now with the new manager to make sure that the punch list is up to date and trying to get a final schedule when that work's going to take place. Collection system Belton Burnell, we talked about earlier. Wall Street, 2 Knight Street, relocation improvements. This is Holzner Electric Company is actually relocating our sanitary sewer at Brook Street, located at Wall and 2 Knight Street. We're actually relocating it through a special chamber that right now has stormwater. So where our sanitary sewer line was at a low point, and the only way to change the direction and improve the sewer was actually to build a chamber that would allow us to run the sanitary through the storm. But there is a carrier pipe. We didn't want to create a pinch point for the stormwater, so that's why it's a chamber to maintain the design flow of the storm pipe. So this is a $2.1 million project that was awarded a couple months ago. So that's right now what they're doing is they're relocating site utilities. There's a water line and a gas main that needs to be relocated in order to install this chamber. Pump station, Kovacs is upgrading 4 pump stations, 5 Mile, Old Trolleyway, Karen Drive, and Woodward Avenue. One of the issues because of COVID is we're getting materials. We have majority of the materials, but unfortunately we don't have all materials for any one station. So things have been a little slow. We anticipate work to really pick up in January once we get a couple more valves for Karen Drive to finish the work. And then we still anticipate at least 3 of the 4 stations to be completed by August of 2022. Item 6, Bell Island Pump Station improvements. We're working with the Suez team. They have one new pump and one, actually going to be 2 rebuild pumps and 1 new pump available for the Bell Island Pump Station. We're also going to be doing a test pit and then looking to install a chamber with a bypass connection on the force. This allows, if we do have a problem at the pump station, for the team to come down with a temporary bypass pump and utilize the existing force main that's in the road, just connect into it. So we would suck sewage from upstream of the station and pump directly into the force main and use the pipe in the ground for conveyance in lieu of laying 1,500 feet of pipe over the street. So that's the benefit of this test pit and ultimately bypass connection that we're installing. Item 7 was approved earlier tonight. That's the electrical tanks infrastructure improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. Moving on to item D, sewer use bill appeals adjustments to date. The Maritime Aquarium did have some questions previously about their sewer bill. They're paying the charge, and there is not going to be any appeal or sewer usage adjustment submitted. So this is just, this item is on the agenda just to show closeout with the aquarium. The second item, the appeal status to date is $134,441 in adjustments. And just so everybody's aware, when we talk about appeal adjustments, it could be a bill. Some of it is water data that we received from first or second district was incorrect, or just we received like 99 million gallons. We billed the site. It really was 10,000 gallons. It was just the data error in Excel spreadsheet that we were provided by the water company. The other types of adjustments that we see, somebody is not on city sewer, but they're on septic. They just realized it. So we do make adjustments for that as well. And then information copies. We do have our 2022 WPCA meeting schedule attached, and then a updated contact list. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, any questions or comments for staff on any of the reports? Anything on item number 14?
I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to all the staff. They did a great job this year.
Yeah. I agree, Mr. Keegan seconds, I'll third it. And no other questions?
No other questions.
Okay, it is 7:10 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion
So
to adjourn.
moved.
Okay, I think Camacho got that one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Camacho, Ostafine, Smith, Colby, Clark, Keegan, Igneri. That's unanimous. We are adjourned. Happy holidays to everyone. We'll see you.
Thank you. Happy
Happy
Good
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Safe and healthy
Happy
new year.
Holidays.
Take care.
Next year.
Bye-bye.